I'm sat here telling you this because I still can't shake it, even now, 3 years on. My name's Emily, I'm 27, and I work as a nurse. Well, I did work at St. Catherine's Hospital anyway, before all this happened. Night shift were my thing, you know? The pay was better, and I've always been a bit of a night owl. But mate, after what I went through, I can't even drive past a hospital car park without my hands going clammy on the wheel. It started proper innocently, like these things always do. I'd finished my shift around 2 in the morning, absolutely knackered, desperate for my bed. The hospital car park was massive, one of those sprawling things with dim orange lights that barely worked half the time. Council never bothered fixing them, did they? Anyway, I started noticing the silver sedan parked at the far end, right where the lights were most rubbish. At first, I thought nothing of it. Maybe someone waiting to pick up a relative, or a doctor having a kit between shifts. But here's the thing that made my skin crawl. The engine was always running. Lights off, but you could see the exhaust fumes in the cold air just idling there in the darkness. Week after week, that car was there. Same spot, same time. I'd finish my rounds, say cheerio to the lads on security, and trudge out to my little Corsa, and there it'd be, waiting. I started taking note of it, you know, just casually. The number plate was too far away to read in that lighting, and I never got close enough to properly clock it. Something in my gut told me to keep my distance. Call it women's intuition or whatever, but I knew something was off. Then it got worse. I started noticing the sedan following me home. Not right behind me, nothing obvious like that. It would hang back, maybe 3 or 4 cars behind, taking the same turns I did through the empty streets. At first, I thought I was being paranoid. London's a big city, loads of people take the same routes. Yeah, but it happened too many times. Same car, same distance, always dropping off about 2 streets before I reached my flat. Never following me all the way home, which somehow made it more unsettling. Like whoever it was knew exactly how far to push it without being too obvious. I mentioned it to security one night. There was this older bloke, Frank, who'd always been sound with me. I told him about the silver sedan, how it was always there, how I reckoned it might be following me. He took it seriously. Bless him, said he'd check it out. He and another guard went out to the far end of the car park with their torches, but the space was empty. The car had gone. Frank said maybe it was just coincidence, someone with odd working hours like myself. He promised to keep an eye out, but I could tell he thought I was overreacting. Maybe I was. Maybe I wasn't. The following few weeks were quiet. No silver sedan. I started to relax a bit, convinced myself I'd imagined the whole thing or blown it out of proportion. Late shifts mess with your head sometimes. You see things that aren't there, create patterns where there's just random chaos. I felt proper daft for even bringing it up. Then came that night. The night that still gives me nightmares. It was absolutely freezing, middle of January, for us covering every windscreen in the car park. My shift had been brutal, with loss of patience, and I was emotionally drained. I just wanted to get home, have a hot shower, and forget the whole day. I wrapped my coat tight around me and headed to my car, breath fogging in front of my face. I clicked the key fob. Nothing. Clicked it again. Still nothing. My heart sank. The battery was dead. Of course it bloody was. I pulled out my phone to call roadside assistance, and that's when I heard it. An engine. Close by. I looked up, and there it was. The silver sedan, pulling up directly behind my car, blocking me in. The headlights were off, but I could see it clear as day under the orange glow of the one working street lamp nearby. The engine was running, that low idle I'd heard so many times before. But this time, it was right there, right behind me. My entire body went cold. I couldn't see inside the car properly. The windscreen was reflecting the light, but I could make out a silhouette. A man, sitting in the driver's seat. Not moving, just sitting there, watching me. He didn't get out, didn't roll down the window. Just sat there in the darkness, and somehow that was worse than if he'd approached me. The waiting, the stillness of it all, it was absolutely terrifying. I was frozen for what felt like ages, but was probably only seconds. Then my brain kicked in. I fumbled with my phone, nearly dropped the bloody thing, and rang my brother. He lived about 20 minutes away, but I needed someone on the line, Needed someone to know where I was. He answered, groggy and confused, and I spoke loudly, deliberately, pretending I was talking to a coworker. "Oh, hey, Sarah, yeah, I'm still in the car park," I said, voice shaking but trying to sound casual. "My car won't start. You're coming back with security? Brilliant. Yeah, I can see you now. You're just coming round the corner. Yay?" I was lying through my teeth, but I wanted him to hear me, whoever he was. Wanted him to know I wasn't alone, that people were coming. My brother caught on quick. Started asking if I was all right, but I just kept up the charade, walking toward the hospital entrance while keeping my eyes on the sedan. Then, just like that, the car reversed. Fast, tires squealing on the icy tarmac. It sped backward, then forward, and absolutely legged it out of the car park. No lights, just vanished into the night. I stood there shaking, phone pressed in my ear, my brother shouting, asking what the hell was going on. Security came out. I explained everything. They checked the CCTV. The cameras at that end of the car park hadn't been working for months. Of course they hadn't. They took a statement, said they'd report it to police, told me not to work late shifts for a while. I took a week off, couldn't face going back. When I did return, I got to my brother to jumpstart my car and I'd move it to a spot right under the main entrance, where security could see it. I thought it was over. I thought he'd been scared off. I was wrong. 3 days later, I came out to my car and there was something under the windscreen wiper. A piece of paper, folded neatly. My hands were trembling as I picked it up and opened it. The words made my blood run cold. "You look so beautiful when you panicked." I couldn't breathe. I dropped the note like it was on fire and ran straight back inside. Security called the police immediately this time. They came, took the note, took fingerprints from my car, asked me a million questions. And that's when they told me something that made everything so much worse. There had been multiple complaints from nurses at nearby hospitals. Same description, silver sedan, same behavior, following women home from late shifts. They had a suspect, they said, but not enough evidence to arrest him. He'd been careful, never got too close, never made direct contact. I handed in my notice the next day. I couldn't do it anymore. Every shadow in that car park felt like a threat. Every engine sound made me jump. I moved cities, got a job at a smaller hospital in Manchester, closer to family. I don't work night shifts anymore. Can't do it. But here's what keeps me up at night. They never caught him. For all I know, he's still out there, still parking in dark corners of hospital car parks, still following nurses home, still writing notes. The police said they'd keep me updated, but I never heard anything after I moved. Maybe they stopped looking. Maybe he just moved on to someone else. I can't park in dimly lit car parks anymore. Even in broad daylight, I feel that same panic rising in my chest. I check my rearview mirror obsessively when I drive. Every silver sedan makes my heart race. My mates think I'm being dramatic, but they weren't there. They didn't see that silhouette sitting in the darkness, watching, waiting. They didn't read those words. "You look so beautiful when you panicked." Sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep, I wonder if it's found someone new. I wonder if there's another nurse out there right now, noticing a silver sedan in her car park, brushing it off as coincidence. I hope she's more careful than I was. I hope she reports it sooner. I hope she never has to feel what I felt that night, trapped between my dead car and his, with nothing but darkness and the sound of his engine running. Because, mate, that feeling never really leaves you. Even now, safe in a different city, working different hours, I still check over my shoulder. I still panic when my car won't start. I still see that silhouette in my nightmares, sitting there in the darkness, just watching, always watching. I'm Daniel, 32, and I work from home as a freelance artist. Used to love it, the freedom, the quiet, being able to work in my pants if I fancied it. But that was before I realized someone had been watching me sleep. Before I understood that the thin pane of glass separating my bedroom from the outside world wasn't protection at all. It was just an observation window, and I was the exhibit. I'd been living in this ground floor flat in Bristol for about 8 months when things started feeling off. Nothing major at first, just little things that made me question myself. I'd wake up and the blinds in my bedroom would be half open, even though I was certain I had closed them fully before bed. I'm particular about that. Always have been. Can't sleep with light creeping in. Then there was this mug I'd left on the kitchen counter one evening, and I swear it was on the coffee table the next morning. I'd move it in my sleep. I reckoned. Maybe I'd gotten up for water and didn't remember. Your mind plays tricks when you're working 16-hour days trying to meet deadlines. But it kept happening. Small things. A chair pulled slightly away from my desk. The back door, which I always kept locked, was unlocked one morning. My sketchbook opened to a different page than where I'd left it. I started thinking I was losing the plot. Genuinely. The stress of freelancing, the isolation, maybe it was getting to me. I mentioned it to my mate Chris down the pub, and he proper took the piss. Said I was turning into one of those conspiracy theorists who thinks the government's watching through the telly. Then Mrs. Kowalski from upstairs knocked on my door. Lovely old Polish woman, made the best pierogi you've ever tasted. She looked worried, kept wringing her hands together as she spoke. She asked if everything was all right, if I'd been having trouble sleeping. I told her I was fine, just busy with work. That's when she said it, casual as anything, like she was mentioning the weather. I see man by your window at night. I think maybe as you smoking outside, but then I realize you are inside. This man, he is crouching there, looking in. I see him 3, maybe 4 times now. Always very late. My stomach dropped. I felt sick. I asked her what he looked like. When she'd seen him, why she hadn't mentioned it sooner. She said she thought it was just someone from the building, maybe waiting for a taxi or having a fag. But then she'd seen him again the previous night, just standing there, completely still, face pressed close to my bedroom window. She'd nearly called the police, but wasn't sure she was overreacting. Didn't want to cause a fuss. I thanked her, told her I'd sort it, but inside I was absolutely bricking it. Someone had been watching me, multiple times, standing outside my window while I slept, completely vulnerable and unaware. I checked the window that evening, proper thorough-like. There were marks on the ledge I hadn't noticed before, muddy scuffs, and the frame looked scratched near the lock. My hands were shaking as I traced the gouges with my finger. I couldn't afford a proper security system, not on my income, but I had my webcam. I set it up on my bookshelf, angled toward the window, and left it recording overnight. Part of me hoped I'd seen nothing, that Mrs. Kowalski had just seen a shadow or a fox or something innocent. But a bigger part of me knew. Deep down, I knew something was very wrong. The next morning, I transferred the footage to my laptop with my heart hammering in my chest. Most of it was just darkness and the occasional car passing outside, headlights briefly illuminating the room. I fast-forwarded through hours of nothing. Then, at 2:47 a.m., movement. A shape appeared at the window. I stopped the video, went back, watched it in real time. A figure rose slowly into frame, like he'd been crouching below the window and was standing up. The streetlight outside gave just enough light to see him. A man, average height, wearing dark clothes and what looked like a hoodie. But it was his face that made my blood run cold. He pressed it right up against the glass, so close his breath was fogging it. And he just stood there, completely motionless, staring at me sleeping in my bed, barely 3 meters away from him. I watched the timestamp tick forward. 3 minutes. 5 minutes. 10. He didn't move. Didn't shift his weight. Didn't look around. Didn't do anything except stand there and watch me. His face was pale in the dim light, features blurred by the glass and the darkness, but his eyes were visible, dark and fixed on me. It was the most unsettling thing I've ever seen. The stillness of it, the patience, like he had all the time in the world. He stayed there for 2 hours and 16 minutes, just watching. When he finally moved, it was slow and deliberate, lowering back down below the window frame and disappearing. I felt physically sick. I'd been lying there, completely unaware, while the stranger stood inches away, separated only by a thin piece of glass, studying me like I was an animal in a zoo. I didn't sleep that day. Couldn't. I kept looking at that window, imagining him out there, waiting for night to fall again. I called the non-emergency police line, explained everything, sent them the footage. They said they'd send someone round, but it might be a few days. They told me to keep my doors and windows locked, to stay with a mate if possible. But I couldn't leave. This was my home. And more than that, I needed to see him. Needed to confront this to reclaim some sense of control. That night, I left the lights off but stayed awake. I sat in my living room with a view of the bedroom window, cricket bat in hand, phone ready to dial 999. The hours dragged on. Midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I was starting to think maybe he wouldn't come back, that maybe the webcam had somehow spooked him. Then, at 3:14 a.m., I saw movement outside. He appeared at the window again, same slow rise from below the frame. But this time I could see him clearer. He was younger than I expected, maybe late 20s, with hollow cheeks and this completely blank expression. Dead eyes, mate. That's the only way I can describe them. Like nobody was home. He pressed his face against the glass again, and I could hear his breathing, slow and steady. The window was fogging with each exhale. I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I stood up and walked toward the bedroom. My heart was absolutely hammering, every instinct screaming at me to run. But I kept moving. I got to the bedroom doorway, flicked on the light, and shouted, "Oi, what the fuck do you think you're doing?" For a split second, he didn't react. Just stared at me with those dead eyes, like he was processing what was happening. Then, suddenly, he bolted, proper-legged it. I heard his footsteps pounding away across the grass. Then nothing. I ran to the window, looked out, but he was gone, vanished into the darkness. The window ledge was covered in muddy footprints. Fresh ones, wet and smeared. I took photos of everything, hands trembling so badly I could barely hold my phone steady. Then I called the police again, told them he'd just been here, that I'd seen him. This time they took it seriously. 2 officers arrived within 20 minutes. They searched the area, found nothing, but they examined the window frame carefully with their torches, and that's when they showed me the scratches. Deep ones, all around the lock mechanism. Someone had been trying to pry the window open. Multiple times, they said, based on how many different marks there were. Some looked old, weathered. Others were fresh, recent. He'd been working on it for a while. The officers took statements, collected the muddy footprints as evidence, told me to install better locks and consider moving to a different flat. One of them, the older one, looked genuinely concerned. He said I should take this seriously, that this kind of stalking behavior often escalates. But without knowing who the bloke was, there was only so much they could do. They'd increase patrols in the area. They said, check the footage from nearby CCTV cameras. But I could tell they weren't optimistic. I stayed with Chris for a few days after that. Couldn't face being in that flat, knowing he might come back. When I did eventually return, I got him proper locks installed, the kind you need a key for from both sides. I moved my bed away from the window, hung thick blackout curtains. But it didn't help. I couldn't relax. Every sound outside made me jump. Every shadow sent my heart racing. Then, about a week later, I was talking to my landlord about breaking the lease early. I told him why, explained everything that had happened. His face went pale. He sat down heavily, rubbed his face with both hands, and told me something that made my blood run cold. 2 years ago, there'd been another tenant in this flat. Young woman, mid-20s, lived alone. She'd filed multiple complaints with him and the police about someone watching her through the windows. Same window, same behavior. The landlord had installed new locks, told her to get curtains, the usual advice. Then, one day, she just disappeared. Packed up and left without notice. Didn't even collect her deposit. He'd tried to contact her, but her phone was disconnected. Her family eventually came for her things, but they were tight-lipped about where she'd gone. He got the impression something bad had happened, something that had scared her enough to just vanish. He'd never connected it to the complaints about the stalker. He'd assumed she'd just gotten spooked and left. But now, hearing my story, he realized it was the same pattern. Same flat, same window, same stalker. For 2 years, this bloke had been coming back here, watching whoever lived in this flat. Waiting, patient, persistent. I moved out the next day. Didn't even bother packing properly, just threw everything in bin bags and boxes and got out. I'm staying with my parents now, back in Manchester, trying to find a new place. Something on an upper floor, somewhere with security, somewhere I can feel safe again. But it's hard, you know? I can't sleep properly anymore. Can't close my eyes without seeing that face press against the glass, those dead eyes staring at me. The police never identified him. They checked CCTV from nearby shops and bus stops, but he'd been careful, kept his head down, avoided cameras. The muddy footprints didn't match anything in their system. He was a ghost, and for all I know, he still is. Still out there, still watching. What keeps me up at night is wondering about that woman who lived there before me. Where did she go? Why did she run? And more importantly, did he follow her? Or did he just stay at that flat, waiting for the next tenant, the next victim? And if he's still there, who's living in my old flat now? Are they safe? Or is he already outside their window, patient and still, breathing fog onto the glass as he watches them sleep? I'll never know. And that's the worst part. Not knowing if it's over, or if it's just waiting. Always waiting. I'm Grace, 21 years old, and I used to love walking. Sounds daft, doesn't it? But I genuinely enjoyed my evening walks home from class, even in the dark. It gave me time to decompress, listen to music, think about my essays. That was before I learned that someone was following me, before I understood that every step I took was being watched, documented, catalogued by someone I couldn't see but who could always see me. I was in my second year at university in Edinburgh, doing English literature. Most of my seminars were in the evening, finishing around 8:30, and I'd walk the 15 minutes back to my hole through this quiet residential area. Proper lovely neighborhood, you know? Victorian houses with nice gardens, the occasional cat wandering about, streetlights that actually worked. I felt safe there, safer than the main road with all the drunk students stumbling about. It was a Tuesday in October when I first noticed him. I'd left my seminar a bit late, around 9, and the streets were quieter than usual. I was maybe 5 minutes into my walk when I got that feeling, that prickly sensation on the back of your neck that tells you something's off. I glanced over my shoulder, casual-like, and saw someone about 20 meters behind me. Just a figure, couldn't make out much detail in the darkness, but they were there, walking the same direction, same pace. I thought nothing of it at first. Loads of students live in that area, plenty of people walking home at that time. But then I slowed down a bit, just testing, and they slowed down too. Kept the exact same distance between us. My heart started beating faster. I told myself I was being paranoid, but I stopped completely, pretended to check my phone. They stopped too. Just stood there in the darkness, maybe 30 meters back now, not even pretending to look at their phone or tie their shoe or any normal reason you'd stop walking. Just stopped. I proper panicked then. Started walking quickly toward the main road where there'd be more people, shops still open, better lighting. I didn't look back, but I could hear footsteps behind me, matching my pace. When I turned onto the high street, I felt a rush of relief. There were people everywhere, lights, traffic. I was safe. I ducked into a Tesco Express, spent 10 minutes pretending to shop while my heart rate came down. When I left, I couldn't see anyone suspicious, so I took a different route home, the longer way through more populated streets. I convinced myself it was just coincidence. Wrong place, wrong time, someone who happened to be walking the same direction. But the next night, it happened again. Same route, same feeling of being watched, same figure in the darkness behind me. This time I caught a glimpse of him reflected in a shop window as I passed. Tall, wearing a dark hoodie pulled up, hands in his pockets, face hidden in shadow. He stayed just far enough back that no one else would notice him, but close enough that I always knew he was there. It went on for days. Every single night after class, he was there. I started taking different routes, leaving at different times, even skipping a seminar once just to throw him off. Didn't matter. He always found me. Always stayed that same distance back, never getting closer, never approaching, just following, watching. It was driving me mental. I couldn't sleep properly, couldn't focus in class. I'd spend entire lectures staring out the window, wondering if he was out there somewhere, waiting. Then the text started. The first one came on a Friday night while I was walking home. My phone buzzed, and I looked down, expecting a message from my flatmate. Unknown number. The message made my blood run cold. Nice jacket. Green suits you. I was wearing my green parka. I stopped dead in the middle of the pavement and spun around, scanning the street. There were maybe a dozen people walking about, but I couldn't tell which one was watching me. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type a response. "Who is this?" No reply. I practically ran the rest of the way home, locked myself in my room, and just sat there staring at my phone. 20 minutes later, another message. "You run funny when you're scared." He'd been watching me run. He'd seen my panic, and he was enjoying it. I felt sick. I blocked the number immediately, but I knew it wouldn't matter. If he wanted to contact me, he'd find a way. The next morning, I went straight to campus security, told them everything, showed them the messages, explained about the following. They were sympathetic but fairly useless, if I'm honest. Said they'd increase patrols in the area, told me to call 999 if I felt in immediate danger, suggested I vary my routes and walk with friends. Standard advice that didn't actually help. I also went to police, filed a proper report. They said they'd look into it, but without knowing who he was or having clear evidence of a threat, there wasn't much they could do. I changed my number that afternoon, got a new SIM, only gave it to close friends and family. For a few days, I felt better. No messages, no obvious following. I started to relax, thought maybe reporting it had scared him off. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "New number won't help. Blue striped jumper today. You look tired. Not sleeping well." I was wearing a blue striped jumper, and I did look tired. I'd barely slept in weeks. He was still watching, still following, and somehow he'd gotten my new number. I felt violated, absolutely terrified. How did he get it? Who did he know? How close was he? The messages kept coming. He described my outfits in detail, mentioned specific routes I'd taken, comment on who I was with. He knew where I ate lunch, what time I went to the library, which friends I hung out with. It was like he was documenting my entire life, and there was nothing I could do to stop him. I stopped going to evening classes, started having panic attacks. My grades were slipping, and I was barely leaving my room. My parents wanted me to come home, but I refused. I wasn't going to let some creep drive me out of university. Instead, I moved dorms, got a room in a different building on the other side of campus, didn't tell anyone except my closest mates and the university accommodation office. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. No texts, no following, no sign of him. I started to breathe again, started to feel like maybe I'd finally shaken him. Then I woke up one morning to someone banging on my door. It was my new flatmate, Lucy, looking absolutely terrified. She pointed at my door without saying anything. There, taped to the outside, was a Polaroid photograph. I stepped closer, my heart already sinking because somehow I knew what it would be before I even saw it properly. It was me, asleep in my bed, in this room, this new room that I'd only been in for 2 weeks, that hardly anyone knew about. The photo was taken from inside the room, from the foot of my bed, looking down at me sleeping. I was wearing my glasses, mouth slightly open, completely vulnerable and unaware. The duvet was pulled up to my chin, my phone on the nightstand beside me. On the back of the photo, written in black marker, were 4 words: "Sleep tight, sweet Grace." I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. He'd been in my room. While I was sleeping, he'd been standing right there, close enough to touch me, and he'd taken a photograph. How long had he stood there? What else had he done? The thought made me physically sick. I ran to the bathroom and threw up, then sat on the cold tile floor sobbing while Lucy called security. Campus went into absolute meltdown. Police came, proper detectives this time, not just a local bobbies. They dusted for fingerprints, checked the locks, interviewed everyone in the building. The door showed no signs of forced entry. The windows were locked from the inside. CCTV in the hallway showed nothing unusual, no one entering my room who shouldn't have been there. It was like he was a ghost, able to walk through walls, invisible to cameras. They never figured out how he got in. One theory was that he'd somehow gotten a master key, or copied one, but they couldn't prove it. Another was that he'd snuck in during the day when my door was unlocked and hidden somewhere, waited until I was asleep. But they'd searched my room thoroughly and found nowhere someone could hide. It made no sense. The detective told me, very gently, that I should consider transferring to a different university. That whoever this was, He was dangerous, escalating, and it couldn't guarantee my safety. I left Edinburgh a week later, transferred to a university down south, somewhere smaller, somewhere he couldn't find me. I didn't tell anyone where I was going except my immediate family. Deleted all my social media, changed my number again, essentially went off the grid. That was 2 years ago now, and I haven't had any messages or incidents since. But I'm not the same person I was. I can't walk alone at night anymore. Can't do it. I get panic attacks if I'm out after dark by myself. I live on the 3rd floor now. Always won't even consider a ground floor flat. I check my locks multiple times before bed every single night. I've got cameras in my room, one pointed at the door, one at the window. I know it's excessive, but I can't sleep without them. I need to know that if someone comes in, there will be evidence. There will be proof. The worst part isn't even the fear, though. It's the not knowing. I don't know who he was. Don't know why he chose me. Don't know if he's moved on to someone else or if he's still out there somewhere, waiting. Sometimes I wonder if I see him in crowds, if that tall bloke in a hoodie at the supermarket is him, if the man who held the door open for me at the library was him. Every stranger is a potential threat now. My mates from Edinburgh still keep in touch, and sometimes they mention weird things happening on campus. A girl who reported being followed last term. Another who found photos of herself that she didn't take. I want to warn them, want to tell them to be careful, but what would I even say? Watch out for a tall man in a hoodie who might be a ghost? It sounds mental. The detective told me before I left that stalkers like this rarely stop on their own. They escalate until they are caught or until they get what they want. But what did he want? He never approached me, never tried to talk to me, never made any demands. He just watched, followed, documented, like I was some kind of research project, something to be studied and catalogued. I still have that Polaroid. The police kept the original as evidence, but they gave me a copy. I don't know why I kept it. Maybe because it's proof that I'm not crazy, that this really happened. Maybe because I need a reminder to stay vigilant, to never let my guard down. Or maybe because some part of me needs to remember that moment, that violation, so I never forget how quickly safety can be an illusion. I'm safe now, I think. It's been 2 years with no incidents. But I'll never really feel safe again. Will I? Because I know the truth now. I know that someone can follow you for weeks without you realizing. That they can get into your home, into your bedroom, stand over you while you sleep, and vanish without a trace. That all the locks and cameras and precautions in the world can't stop someone who's patient enough. Sometimes late at night when I can't sleep, I look at the live feed from my bedroom camera on my phone, just to make sure I'm alone. That there's no one standing at the foot of my bed, watching me. And every single time, I think about that photograph, about those 4 words written on the back. Sleep tight, sweet Grace. But I don't sleep tight anymore. Don't think I ever will again. I'm Mark, 29, and up until 6 months ago I worked as a delivery driver for a courier company in Manchester. Loved the job, honestly. Out on the road, no boss breathing down your neck, just you in the open road in a van full of parcels. Decent pay, flexible hours, met loads of interesting people. I thought I'd seen everything in that job. You know? Dodgy addresses, strange requests, the occasional dog trying to have a go at me. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what happened. Nothing prepared me for the realization that someone had been riding along with me, hidden in my van, watching me work for God knows how long. It started about 4 months into the job. I came in for my shift one morning. Usual time around 6 a.m., and the warehouse supervisor flagged me down. Said there was a package for me in the sorting area. I was confused, like I hadn't ordered anything to work. But he insisted, showed me this medium-sized box with my full name written on it in block capitals. No return address, no company logo, just my name and the warehouse address. Proper weird. I opened it in the break room, half expecting it to be a prank from one of the lads. Inside was a picture frame. Empty. Just a cheap wooden frame with no photo in it, wrapped carefully in bubble wrap. No note, no explanation, nothing. I turned over looking for something, anything that would tell me what this was about. But there was nothing. I asked around the warehouse, but nobody knew anything about it. The supervisor checked the delivery logs, and there was no record of it coming through our system. It had just appeared. I thought it was bizarre but didn't think much more of it. Probably just got delivered to the wrong place, wrong mark, something like that. I chucked it in my locker and got on with my shift. Forgot about it completely until 2 weeks later when another package arrived. Same deal. My name on it. No return address. Appeared in the warehouse overnight. This time I opened it straight away, and inside was a single glove. Just one. Black leather. Men's size large. My size. Still had the tag on it. Brand new. Now I was proper unsettled. Who sends someone a single glove? What's the point of that? I showed it to my supervisor, and he agreed it was dodgy. Said he'd check the security cameras to see who dropped it off. But the footage showed nothing. The package just appeared on the sorting shelf sometime between the end of shift and the morning, but the cameras didn't catch anyone putting it there. There's a blind spot near that area. He explained. Someone could have snuck in if they knew where the cameras were. I reported it to the police, non-emergency line, explained the situation. They took details but said without any threats or identifying information, there wasn't much they could do. Told me to keep records of everything and call back if it escalated. Escalated. That word stuck with me. 3 weeks passed and I was starting to relax, thinking maybe it was over, just some bizarre prank that had run its course. Then the third package arrived. Smaller this time, just a padded envelope. Inside was a USB stick. No label, no markings, just a plain black USB stick. My hands were shaking as I plugged it into the computer in the warehouse office. My supervisor stood behind me, watching. The USB contained a single video file. I clicked it and my stomach dropped. It was footage of me, making deliveries. The camera angle was from inside my van, pointing forward through the windscreen, but occasionally it would shift and show me from the side. Me checking my phone, me eating my lunch, me singing along to the radio like an absolute muppet. The footage was from multiple days, hours and hours of it, all compiled together. Someone had been in my van, filming me, for weeks, maybe months. The angle suggested they'd been hiding in the back, among the packages, with a camera pointed forward. I felt physically sick watching it. All those times I'd been alone, or thought I'd been alone. Someone had been right there, breathing the same air, watching me. How many deliveries had I made with them hiding back there? How close had I come to discovering them? We called the police immediately, proper emergency this time. They came down, took the USB, checked my van thoroughly, found nothing. No camera, no sign anyone had been in there. They checked the warehouse security footage going back weeks, looking for anyone suspicious accessing my van. Nothing. Whoever this was, they were careful. They knew how to avoid cameras, knew the warehouse layout, knew my schedule. The police advised me to install additional security measures. I got a tracker fitted to my van, one of those GPS ones that would alert me if it moved when it wasn't supposed to. I also started checking the back thoroughly before every shift, making sure all the packages were accounted for, looking for anywhere someone could hide. Became paranoid about it, spending 20 minutes each morning searching every corner of that van. For 2 weeks, the tracker showed nothing unusual. Then stayed put overnight, no movement. I started to think maybe the police involvement had scared them off. Maybe they'd gotten their kicks and moved on. But I couldn't shake this feeling of being watched, this constant anxiety that someone was right behind me. I'd be driving and catch myself checking the rearview mirror, looking into the back of the van, expecting to see someone staring back at me. Then one morning, I checked the tracker app and my blood ran cold. The van had moved at 3:17 a.m. Only slightly, maybe 10 meters, then back to its original position. Like someone had started it, moved it a bit, then parked it again. I called my supervisor immediately, then the police. We reviewed the warehouse CCTV footage from that time. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the cameras all went dark for approximately 4 minutes. Then they came back on. In those 4 minutes, someone had accessed my van, moved it, and disappeared. That's when I installed motion sensors. Spent my own money on proper equipment, the kind that sends alerts straight to your phone if anything moves in the van when it's supposed to be locked and empty. I was absolutely terrified by this point, barely sleeping, constantly looking over my shoulder. My girlfriend was begging me to quit, said it wasn't worth it, but I was stubborn. I wanted to catch whoever this was. Wanted answers. The motion sensor triggered 3 nights later. 3:17 a.m. exactly, same time as before. My phone exploded with alerts, blaring alarm sound. I was home in bed and I called 999 immediately, gave them the warehouse address, told them someone was breaking into my van right now. Then I got in my car and drove there myself, which was stupid in hindsight, but I was running on adrenaline and anger. Police arrived before me, blue lights flooding the warehouse car park. They'd searched the van, searched the whole area. Found nothing. No one. But they found something I wish they hadn't. On the driver's seat, placed carefully like it was meant for me, was a note. Just a piece of paper folded in half. The officer showed it to me, and I felt my legs go weak as I read it. You're not alone on your routes. 5 words that confirmed my worst fear. Someone had been riding with me, in my van, day after day, watching me work, learning my patterns, studying me. And they'd been doing it for long enough to film hours of footage, to know exactly when and how to avoid cameras, to move the van without being detected. The police took the note, took more statements, increased patrols around the warehouse. But what could they really do? This person was like a ghost. I handed in my notice the next day. Couldn't do it anymore. The thought of getting in that van, of driving around not knowing if someone was hiding in the back, it was too much. My boss understood. Said he'd have done the same. They deep cleaned my van, installed better security. But I was done. Started looking for a new job, something office-based where I'd be around people all day, where I couldn't be isolated. A month passed. I was working as an admin assistant for an insurance company, boring as hell but safe. I'd move house too. Didn't tell anyone at my old job where I was going except for the HR department who needed my new address for final payslips. Started feeling like maybe I could move on, put this nightmare behind me. Then I got a text from Danny, one of my former co-workers. Just said, "Mate, you need to see this," with a photo attached. I opened it and my hand started shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone. It was a package. Same style as before, cardboard box with a name written in block capitals. But this time the package wasn't for me to receive. It was from me. Or at least, that's what the return address said. My new home address. The full address of the flat I'd moved to a month ago that only a handful of people knew about. Written clearly on a package that had appeared at my old warehouse. I called Danny back straight away, asked him if anyone had opened it. He said no. They called the police as soon as they'd recognized my old name and the weird situation. Police collected it, said they'd update me. I was absolutely terrified. Whoever this was, they knew where I lived. They'd known before the package even arrived at the warehouse, because they'd written the return address on it. They were telling me they could find me anywhere. That was 3 months ago. The police opened the package with a bomb disposal unit present, proper full precautions. Inside was another picture frame, but this time it had a photo in it. A photo of my new flat's front door, taken recently, within days of me moving in. On the back of the frame, written in the same block capitals, was a message. "Nice new place. See you soon." I moved again immediately. Different city this time. Didn't even tell my family exactly where. Just gave them a rough area. Changed my phone number. Deleted all social media. Basically went off the grid. I'm working a temporary job through an agency, paying rent in cash, trying to be as invisible as possible. But here's what keeps me up at night, right? That first package, the empty picture frame. I thought it was random, meaningless. But now I understand. It wasn't empty, it was waiting. Waiting for him to fill it with a photo of me or my home, or whatever his endgame is. The single glove, I reckon that was his. Left it in my van by accident maybe, or on purpose as a taunt. And that USB stick, that was just a sample. He probably has hundreds of hours of footage of me. Knows everything about my routines, my habits, my life. The police have an open investigation, but they've got no leads. No fingerprints, no DNA, no witnesses, no camera footage. Whoever this is, they're professional, patient. They can access secure warehouses, avoid security systems, and track people across cities. That's not just some random creep. That's someone with skills. Someone with resources. I don't sleep properly anymore. Every noise in my building makes me jump. Every stranger I pass on the street, I wonder if it's them. I check my door multiple times a night, got 3 different locks installed, a camera pointing at the entrance. But none of it makes me feel safe, because I know the truth now. I know that someone can be right next to you, close enough to touch, and you'll never know they're there until they want you to know. I know that all your precautions and security measures mean nothing if someone's determined enough. And I know that somewhere out there, someone has hours of footage of me, photos of my homes, and a plan that I can't even begin to understand. Danny texts me occasionally, asks how I'm doing, if I've heard anything. I keep it vague. 2 weeks ago he mentioned that another package had arrived at the warehouse. Different name this time, one of the other drivers. Same style, no return address, just appeared overnight. It contained an empty picture frame. It's starting again, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. Nothing any of us can do except wait and see what he wants, what his endgame is. The police think it might be someone who works at the company, or used to work there, someone with inside knowledge. But they've interviewed everyone, checked everyone's backgrounds, found nothing. Sometimes I think about that note. You're not alone on your routes. Present tense. Not you weren't alone, but you're not alone. Like it's still happening. Like even though I don't drive that van anymore, even though I've moved and changed jobs and tried to disappear, I'm still not alone. He's still there, somewhere in the background, watching and waiting. And that empty picture frame he sent to the other driver, it's waiting too, waiting to be filled, just like mine was. I'm Olivia, 34, and I'm a single mom to my son Jake, who's 6. We moved into our flat in Leeds about 8 months ago now. Thought we'd finally found somewhere safe and affordable where we could start fresh after my divorce. Nice quiet building, decent schools nearby, seemed perfect. But within the first week, I started hearing something that made my blood run cold. Something that still haunts me, even though we don't live there anymore. The sound of keys jingling just outside my door, late at night, when everyone else in the building was asleep. The first time I heard it, I thought I'd imagined it. It was maybe 11:30. Jake was fast asleep in his room, and I was watching telly on the sofa. Then I heard it, this faint metallic jingling, like someone was holding a set of keys right outside my front door. Not walking past, mind you, just standing there. The sound would last a few seconds, then stop, then start again. Like someone was sorting through keys, trying to find the right one. I muted the telly and sat there frozen, listening. My heart was hammering. The jingling continued for maybe 2 minutes, then stopped completely. I waited another 5 minutes before I worked up the courage to look through the peephole. The hallway was empty, just a dim emergency lighting and silence. I checked the lock, made sure the deadbolt was engaged, and tried to convince myself it was just a neighbor coming home late, fumbling with their keys at the wrong door. But it happened again the next night. Same time, 11:30, that same jingling sound right outside my door. This time I crept up to the peephole straight away, moving quietly so they wouldn't hear me. I looked through and my stomach dropped. There was a shadow on the floor, cast by someone standing directly in front of my door, just out of view of the peephole. They were deliberately standing where I couldn't see them properly. The jingling continued, and then I heard something that made my skin crawl. The doorknob turned, slowly, testing it, checking if it was locked. I stepped back from the door, hand over my mouth to stop myself from making any noise. The doorknob turned again, more firmly this time, then stopped. The jingling started again, and I realized they were trying different keys, trying to find one that would fit. After about a minute, the shadow moved away and I heard footsteps retreating down the hallway. I stood there shaking, phone in my hand, debating whether to call the police. But what would I say? Someone was standing outside my door with keys? They might just say it was a confused neighbor. Jake started having nightmares that week. He'd wake up crying, saying he saw a shadow man. At first, I thought it was just typical kid stuff, imaginary fears amplified by the move and adjusting to a new place. But then one morning over breakfast, he said something that made me freeze. "Mummy, why does a shadow man look through our door at night?" I put down my coffee cup carefully, trying to keep my voice steady. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" I got up for water and I saw him. Through the little window in the door, he was standing there looking in. The peephole. He'd seen someone looking through the peephole from the outside. That's why I could only see a shadow when I looked through it, because they were right up against it, looking in at us. The thought made me feel physically sick. While we slept, someone was standing outside our door, peering through the peephole, trying keys in the lock. I reported it to the building management the next day. They were sympathetic but not particularly helpful, said they'd mention it to the security guard who did evening rounds. But this was a cheap building. The security guard was a part-timer who mostly just sat in his car, and I knew nothing would come of it. I also called the police non-emergency line. They said they'd send someone round when they could, but it wasn't classified as urgent since no one had actually tried to break in. The sound continued every night for the next week, always around the same time, always that same pattern. Jingling keys, turning the doorknob, testing the lock. I stopped sleeping properly. I'd lie in bed listening, waiting for it to start, wondering if tonight would be the night they found the right key. I pushed my chest of drawers against Jake's door so I'd hear if anyone got in and tried to reach him. Started keeping a knife under my pillow, which I know sounds mental, but I was terrified. Then one night I decided I wasn't going to just sit there and take it anymore. I stayed up deliberately, lights off, sitting in my living room chair with a view of the front door. Had my phone ready to record, ready to call 999 if needed. Around 11:30, right on schedule, I heard the jingling. I stayed perfectly still, not making a sound. The jingling got louder, closer. Then I saw it. The doorknob started to turn. Slowly, carefully, testing it. Through the gap at the bottom of the door, I could see a shadow, the outline of feet standing right there. The doorknob turned again, harder this time. Then I heard a new sound, a scraping sound. Metal on metal. They were putting a key in the lock, actually trying to unlock my door. I grabbed my phone and dialed 999, whispering to the operator that someone was trying to break into my flat right now. She stayed on the line with me, and I could hear her dispatching officers. The scraping sound continued. They were trying different keys, working through a set, determined to find one that fit. I was frozen with terror, unable to move, just watching that doorknob, praying the lock would hold. Then suddenly, the sound stopped. The shadow disappeared. I heard footsteps running down the hallway, then the fire escape door banging open. They'd heard me whispering on the phone, or maybe just sensed that something was off. By the time police arrived about 10 minutes later, they were long gone. The officers were brilliant, took it seriously, examined the door carefully with their torches. That's when they showed me the scratches. All around the keyhole, dozens of tiny scratch marks, fresh and recent. Someone had been trying multiple keys in my lock, over and over, night after night. The scratches showed they'd been working at it for a while, trying to find the right key or the right combination. I insisted on changing the locks the next morning, paid for it myself because the landlord was dragging his feet about it. Got a proper deadlock installed, the kind that needs a key from both sides. Cost me over £100, but it was worth it for the peace of mind. That night, I slept slightly better, knowing they couldn't use their old keys anymore. But a week later, I came home from the school run to find a note that had been slipped under my door. Just a piece of lined paper, folded once. I opened it with shaking hands, and the words made my blood run cold. You changed the lock. I liked the old one better. They knew. They tried their keys and realized I'd changed the locks. And they were angry about it. This wasn't just some random opportunistic burglar. This was someone who felt entitled to access my flat. Someone who was personally offended that I'd taken away their ability to get in. I called the police immediately, showed them the note. They dusted for fingerprints, but found nothing useful. However, they took it seriously now. They started investigating, interviewed neighbors, checked building security footage, and that's when things started to come together. The building had recently fired a maintenance worker about 3 months before I'd moved in. Bloke named Carl, late 40s, worked there for years. He'd been let go for inappropriate behavior, turning up to work drunk, that sort of thing. The building manager had collected his uniform and radio, but they'd never asked for his keys back. They just changed some locks and assumed that was enough. Police tracked him down and found a whole set of building keys in his flat. Master keys that opened most of the older locks in the building. My flat still had the original lock when I moved in, which is why his keys worked. They also found photos. Dozens of photos taken inside various flats, including mine. He'd been letting himself into empty flats during the day when residents were at work, just wandering around, going through people's things. Some of the photos showed bedrooms, personal items. It was absolutely vile. They arrested him and he was charged with attempted burglary, stalking, harassment, the works. Turned out I wasn't his only target. 3 other residents, all single women, had reported similar experiences, but the building management had never connected the dots. He'd been doing this for months, maybe years, using his old keys to access flats, watching residents' patterns, figuring out their schedules. During the police interview, he claimed he was just checking on the flats, making sure everything was all right. Said he still felt responsible for building maintenance even though he'd been fired. Complete rubbish, obviously. The photos proved he was doing much more than checking on things. The prosecutor said he was escalating, that it was only a matter of time before he did something worse than just watching and taking photos. He got 18 months in prison, restraining order, the whole lot. I should have felt safe after that. Should have been able to relax, knowing he was locked up and couldn't get to us anymore. But I couldn't shake the feeling of violation, the knowledge that he'd been in my flat before I even moved in, that he'd probably stood in Jake's room, gone through my things, invaded our privacy in ways I'd never fully know about. We moved out 2 months later. I couldn't stay there, couldn't walk through that door without remembering the sound of keys jingling, the doorknob turning, his shadow standing there night after night. Jake was having nightmares constantly, wouldn't sleep alone anymore. The building offered to let me break the lease without penalty, which was decent of them, and we found a new place across town. But here's the thing that still messes with my head. He's been out of prison for 4 months now, and sometimes, late at night in our new flat, I swear I hear it. That faint jingling sound, keys sorting through a ring, right outside my door. I know it's probably just my imagination, trauma making me hear things that aren't there. Jake's therapist says it's a normal response of what we went through, that my brain is on high alert, interpreting normal sounds as threats. But last week, I came home to find a scratch near my new keyhole. Just one small scratch. Could have been anything. Could have been me fumbling with my keys in the dark. But it's in the exact same spot where the old scratches were on my previous door. And this morning, there was a business card stuck in my door frame. Just a blank white card, no writing on it, no company name. Nothing. Just a blank card, carefully wedged into the gap between my door and the frame. I reported it to police. But Carl has an alibi. He's living with his mum in a different city. Signed in at a probation office that day. They've checked and he hasn't violated his restraining order. So maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's coincidence. Maybe I'm seeing threats where there aren't any. But I don't think so. I think someone else has keys now. Maybe Carl gave copies to a mate before he got arrested. Maybe he's paying someone to finish what he started. Or maybe there's something about me that attracts this kind of attention, some vulnerability that these people can sense. I've got cameras now, pointing at my door, recording constantly. I've got the best locks money can buy. I've got an alarm system that goes directly to police if triggered. But none of it makes me feel truly safe, because I know the truth now. I know that someone can have keys to your home, can stand outside your door night after night, can peer through your peephole and watch you sleep, and there's nothing you can do to stop them until they're actually caught in the act. And I know that the sound of keys jingling, that innocent everyday sound that most people don't even notice, will never be innocent for me again. Every time I hear keys, anywhere, my heart rate spikes. In the supermarket car park, in the hallway at work, anywhere. That sound is permanently associated with terror now. Jake's doing better. He's in therapy and his nightmares are less frequent. But sometimes he still asks me if the Shadow Man can find us in our new home. And I tell him no. Sweetheart, we're safe now. The bad man is far away. But I don't know if I believe it myself. Because that scratch is there. And that blank card was real. And late at night, when the building is quiet, I still hear that sound. The jingling of keys just outside my door.